Paul here, and on this channel we do tech and gadget reviews, and in this video we'll be checking out some interesting desk toys that I found on Amazon. They were all highly rated, but I'm not so sure. I'll make sure to put a link to all of them in the description below, but first, I found this at the store and they look amazing. We're gonna have to try this out. It doesn't start off with much flavor, and then it hits you with that Twinkie flavoring in the aftertaste. Very interesting. Back to your regular scheduled program. I'm gonna finish this bowl of cereal first, of course. First, let's do a super quick unboxing. The Woodpecker comes with this base and this pole, and you just push it together, and that's pretty much it. For assembly of the bird, it comes missing a leg. And you just take the bird, you feed it through this little hole on one side with the leg facing forward, leg on the other side, and then we push that into the base, and we have the assembled bird. And this is fully assembled. All you have to do is use a screwdriver to put a battery in the back. It's a 9-volt battery, or you can use a DC power supply if you happen to have one with you that's 9 volts. And it does come with this nice little book with the history of the Wacky waving tube guy. First up is the Woodpecker. You bring him up to the top. He can rest and stay up at the top if you'd like, but you can bring him out right below that. And he kind of pecks as he goes down the pole. You will notice that occasionally he'll slip down without pecking the pole. They do say that if you rough up this pole a little bit with sandpaper, that helps with the stickiness of it as it goes down, but I think it works fairly good as is. I will say, for this being a desk toy, it'd be kind of fun having this sitting around. I'm not so sure though, but that noise might annoy people around you. Second up is the drinking bird, and this one's been around for a while. I remember one of these sitting up on a shelf at my grandparents' house. I don't know if they ever used it whenever I was around, and I remember Homer Simpson using one as well. But other than that, this thing works by dunking its head in the water. I'll explain why in a second, and then you have to balance this neck by scooting it up and down to get it just right so it does the drinking motion, and it will go a little bit faster, slower, depending on the temperature and how well you have it all set up. The science behind how this works is that the wet head of the bird causes evaporation, making the head colder than the base, causing a temperature differential, which will suck that fluid up more towards the head. Once it gets weighted enough, it tips the scale so that it comes over and takes a drink. When it takes a drink, that re-wets the head portion again, keeping that temperature differential while the fluid flows back to the base, tipping the scales again to reset the whole process and make it go over and over and over again. This old toy is actually pretty decent. It's not very distracting. There's no noise involved. You may see a little motion out of the corner of your eye. Probably the biggest annoyance is you're going to need to refill this water and maybe adjust the balance on it ever so often. Really not too bad. Next up is the Wacky waving tube guy. You can use the battery in there, or you can use a DC power supply. Luckily, I found one of these at our house, so we can check out both of them. When you order this, make sure not to order the life-size one, because that could get you in trouble. Operation is very simple. You simply flip the switch to either the battery mode or the DC power supply mode, and it goes. Let's show you. One thing to clearly note with this, as far as the distraction, is there is a fan involved, and it does make definitely some sound that you will hear. And there's a broken up sound as it flips around, so it's not a steady sound. So you're not gonna wanna have this right next to someone that is easily annoyed. Perhaps this is for momentary use for celebration or something like that, or just some silly thing in the corner of the office. The other thing to note is you wanna keep everything about a foot away from it, because if it runs into it, it seems to cause some issues. You can see how my thumb just holding it right there makes it stop, and then I move it away and it goes again. So you don't want it to get stuck somewhere. That doesn't look very fun at all. Now this is on the power mode. On battery mode, it does run out of batteries at some point where it won't be able to flip it around as much. It is a little bit of a lower dull sound with the fan, and it gets stuck like this. So make sure to have fresh batteries in there or switch over to the DC power supply and get one of those to use this. Make sure to let me know in the comments below what you think of each of these toys. Some of them probably not so great for the office or for your desk, and some of them maybe not so bad. I'd be curious to know your thoughts.